Hello there. What's going on, everybody? I want to talk about the Mandalorian Gauntlet Fighter, or the Cormorant class fighter. That is a super large Mandalorian craft. It appears in Star Wars Armada and recently also got announced for Star Wars X-Wing. But I want to talk about how this could potentially be an avenue towards getting lots more content out for Star Wars Armada with a minimal effort. So AMG, if you're listening, I've got a story to sell you. Let's see if this works. If you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe and leave a comment. That's going to automatically enter you to win the $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. Also, check out the links in the description below. We've got some pretty cool stuff down there. You can check out Crabbok.com, get that free Armada AI set. That's a pretty cool little expansion that's all totally free. Legion AI is down there as well. We got some other Armada homebrew expansions that I've kind of published independently. You can go to check those out if you're interested as well. Just some fun overall things to look at. Any future stuff I do, I'll put there as well. Also, hop in my Discord. I'd love to have you guys down there as well. It's very family-friendly Discord. We talk about all types of gaming, and let's just get on with it then. So, Mandalorian Gauntlet Fighter already exists in one game, and the Mandalorians had a huge push at the last mini extravaganza, and it got me thinking, gosh, we never really see these in Star Wars Armada right now because they are largely terrible. They were kind of brought out to potentially fix some things and kind of use a new mechanic, and the things that they were like trying to fix ended up kind of getting fixed elsewise, like especially with the 1.5 rule set. So what do they have on their own? They're actually, they're not terrible on their own. They're not terrible. They just need a little something. All right. So the Empire, for 20 points, you get a rogue, and hey, it's a rogue with 7 hull, so that's pretty good. It's not great against fighters. 2 blue and a red. That's okay. It's not terrible against ships. It's got 2 anti-ship die, which is pretty cool. But they're blue, so you're going to average 1 hit when you attack a ship. They don't have bombers, so you're not getting, you're not really taking advantage of that double blue. But they have assault. And then assault is one of those keywords that doesn't appear in a whole lot of places, right? We don't really see this in the Clone Wars factions, although there should be some because there's specific cards that reference it. We expect things like the LAT and maybe even an HMP gunship potentially could have assault. Because I think some B2 super battle droids used to fly like on the backs of the HMP gunships in at least one episode of the Clone Wars. But but assault is one of those keywords that really only shows up in the Galactic Civil War due to like Kanan has it, and then of course the Gauntlet Fighters are really the only squadron that kind of has it. And it was a new way to introduce raid tokens, right? So while attacking a ship, you may spend a die with a hit icon. If you do, the defender gains a raid token of your choice. There's really not many ways to do this. I did come up with one really super ultra jank thing. Like if you can somehow potentially get a ship to be speed 0 and then you raid them out of nav tokens, then you kind of lead to a bad day for everybody. So that is definitely a possibility. That's something that can happen. Although if you do that, you're not going to make too many more friends. So with that being said, we also have the named version, Gar Saxon, and he's a little better, a little bit more reliable damage, right? He's got the blue and the black die against ships, so a slightly higher chance. So I think you're averaging like 1.2 or something like that damage per attack. You're slightly higher because the black die has 6 hits as opposed to only 4 hits that the blue die has. So that's not bad. 23 points. He has a brace token, single brace. Still 2 blue and a red against other squadrons. And he's got Assault and Rogue also. But he's got the cool ability of when an enemy squadron with intel or relay at distant ones activates, it suffers a damage. Just suffers it outright. Now, this is interesting because this was a really big deal in the first, 1.0. And intel was everywhere, and this was a way to kind of like Janors and all the X-Wings. You'll never get through all those X-Wings to Janors. Plus, they can always spend her tokens, so even accuracies won't help you. That sort of stuff. and it was a way to kind of force damage through. But there's other ways to do that also, like Maul or Mythil and things like that. But that's kind of like what it seemed like. Relay stopped being a problem even before this came out, I believe. No, it was in the same wave. It was right in the same wave. So this because this came out of Wave 7, and around the time that Wave 7 came out, there were some changes. But anyway, like, this was obviously put into the design spectrum when Relay was kind of running rampant also. But by the time that this really came out, Relay was already mostly fixed, and then not long after this, we only had one full wave, like Wave 8, I guess, and the Super Star Destroyer, that Intel was even a thing. So now this card is largely useless, right? Because Intel's not that important. Relay doesn't see that much. Relay's usually used for, sparingly, and Intel also kind of sparingly. It's not it only gives grit now. So these guys could use an overhaul. I think they could. There's not really much for the Empire to take advantage of raid tokens. So, I mean, now granted, they could do a commander that takes advantage of raid tokens. I think maybe every faction should consider a commander that takes advantage of raid tokens. It's a cool, interesting mechanic that exists in the game that really only the Separatists can take heavy advantage of. But it would be nice if there was a new way to take advantage of raid tokens. And one way to do that, and to give every other faction some way to take advantage of raid tokens, is to open this ship up to all of the other factions. And that's where we get into my nifty advice for AMG. You've already got artwork right now for all the other factions, right? We'll talk about Darth Maul a little bit. I mean, granted, we don't have a scum and villainy faction for this Armada, but you could potentially make him just a bad guy. Like, maybe he's a squadron that could go in either Separatists or in the Empire, if you wanted to kind of treat him that way for now. I don't really see them going with a scum and villainy or criminal underworld as its own faction for Star Wars Armada, but maybe someday, who knows? But in the absence of that, one way to do that is just to kind of let the bad guys work for the bad guy factions. And you could totally put Darth Maul in one of those, and then of course you've already got lots of cool mechanics for Force users like Adept and things like that. You could definitely give him some really cool groovy Force user mechanics in what is already a nice platform, right? Like the ship itself, Speed 4, 7 hull, Rogue. They don't all have to have Rogue, but they easily can, especially Mandalorians. And you can keep Assault. You don't. I mean, like if you have other commanders that are specifically working with raid tokens, then this suddenly becomes a worthwhile fighter. But without that, it doesn't. Like, I bet you the Separatists would love to have a guy like this out there. Like that'd be awesome. So yeah, Darth Maul. And of course Bo-Katan. Is all over the place, and she's one of the pilots that we're seeing a lot of in X-Wing for this ship coming out. You're already gonna have artwork for all of her stuff. So you can really fit her in almost any faction. Well, probably not the Empire. Of course, you've already got. I mean, and there's other. You've got Gar Saxon. You don't necessarily have to. I think he could use a rework for his particular ability. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there. Bo-Katan easily works for the Republic. I think she easily works for the Rebels. Here we go with her in the Republic. I think you could definitely fit her in with the Rebels as well. And you can have generic versions also for these factions, for all of those other options. For Separatists, like if we don't want Maul to be a Separatist specifically, of course we've got Pre Vizsla and Death Watch, and I'm sure they have art for that as well. So there's a whole lot of potential for working in raid token mechanics and other unique mechanics that you might not even really be able to fit on anywhere else. And you're using, here's the key, using a squadron that we already have, that already exists. And maybe squadrons are part of the future for this game. I've suggested maybe we'll see Armada on a sprue at some point. Maybe we'll see Armada on a frame, all right, unpainted, unassembled, things like that. Because that's obviously going to be cheaper for them to produce. Well, squadron packs are single piece. I don't think any squadron in the game is, multiple pieces. They're not that detailed. So they're single pieces, and I'm sure they were all on a sprue and just clipped. So if they put squadrons on a sprue, I don't think anybody's going to complain. And they could do them the same way they do them right now, and that wouldn't really be too much work. But that'd be a great way for them to get us stuff. We're already used to squadrons coming unpainted, right? We're already used to that. It's real easy, real easy. So yeah, maybe either new squadron packs, or even if they don't want to do plastic, a simple Mandalorian-based campaign would be perfect for Star Wars Armada. You just put out new cards for a squadron that we already have, and a lot of people probably have spare. I've got quite a few of these things right now. And not that many, but I've picked up at least 2 Chimera expansions, and this was an interesting place too, because it was that one squadron that didn't come in a squadron pack. I'd like to see more of that in the future, by the way. So I think there's a lot of possibility for the Mandalorian Gauntlet Fighters to get spread out to all the other factions. I'd like to hear what you guys think. I think it's just a great, easy option for AMG to kind of give us a little bit of a new Armada content. I don't want to give you false expectations. It's probably still going to be a little while before we get any new Armada content, but I think there is that possibility, and I think this is one. And there'll be more ways. I'll do other videos talking about other easy ways that they can give us new content. This is number 1. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Patrons, if you're interested in joining the team, check the links in the description below. Always remember, wear your shoes when you are going to the beach, but not when getting in the water.